Okay, good evening. What's going on? So I'm trying something out. I found a closed captioning plugin, and I have no idea if it's working or not, but it's showing me in OBS that it's working. So I'm just gonna I'm checking out on Twitch right now. So if you're watching on Twitch, you'll be able to turn on closed captioning. That seems to be working all right there. Let's try. I wonder if YouTube does it too. I'm pretty certain Periscope's not going to do it. But let's check out. Okay, YouTube. I'm also going to post this. Oh, it looks like it doesn't. It probably can do automatic captioning later though, so that's probably okay. Let's see. I'm gonna post some links here to the Twitter. So check it. If you prefer, let's do that. If you prefer YouTube and or Twitch. Okay. Tweet all. Okay. Also playing around with OBS a little bit, but we'll stop doing that. So I actually wanted to. I've got a different project that I've been kicking around for a really long time, which is the. So how do I explain this? If you've used yargs before, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't, bear with me. So this makes no sense to most people. Basically what we want to do, so when you run something like any command line utility in for Node.js, like npm, for example, is a command line utility, or yarn. I don't know what yarn -h. I don't know what n does. And you put out help, and it'll give you all kinds of options that you can run, different commands and things. That's cool and all. And there are a few different utilities that can do this for us, or that can help us generate these and write our scripts directly in JavaScript. The downside is they're all a little bit disparate. They're all kind of annoying. Yargs in particular is really, really, really good. The problem is it's really good if you have like a single or just a couple of minor commands, and not anything that's like really big or important. And one of the things that I've found myself doing at work a lot is writing a large command line utility for running tons and tons of different common tasks. So things that we do, like generating components, running tests, like a wrapper around jest, running lint, with common setups, because a lot of times those tools are really good and they have a lot of options, but it's difficult for developers to really know like what the proper thing is to do, especially when you're working on like a really big team and with a lot of different people that may not be familiar with all the things. And then it comes in the question of like, well, do I use yarn? Do I use npm? Do I it gets confusing when like the the options between one thing and another thing are different. Like some use dash dash watch, some use dash W, some have aliases for things, some don't, and none of them are quite the same. Building, publishing, what other things we have? Like creating new modules in the workspace. So tons and tons of stuff. I don't even know what they are off the top of my head. We just have a ton. So when you have something that's that large, and when you create a command line utility that does a lot of different stuff, you actually need to use what is it called? Use yargs commander. So there's a commander option, but it's only documented in their advanced docs in GitHub, and it's unclear whether it's like officially supported or not. It's providing a command module. I don't know, is that it? Let me see, commander. There it is. So commander allows you to have separate files that can run different commands. So from your top level, say your top level is like I should make this a little bit bigger. Wrong. Moving around, sorry. My awesome CLI. And then you want to run foo bar baz and have that actually resolve to a file, foo bar baz.js, where you might have my awesome, my CLI. You might have foo bar, you might have foo baz, you might have, some example of that. So like, you may want to run, have like one larger command for running across workspaces. So like yarn workspace is a good example of that. So yarn workspace build, or yarn workspace run, or yarn workspace whatever. So same idea, you have my CLI and you want to run foo bar, or you might just want to run foo, or you might run foo baz. So you need to kind of resolve those all to different places. It's really, really cumbersome to put these all into a single file, because you're going to end up with a few thousand lines of something. So it's cool and all. The downside is the yargs architecture makes this really not good with the longer it gets. So at work we're doing it when you run my CLI foo bar baz, it doesn't just execute that foo bar baz.js file. It actually goes in and finds every single command that it can possibly run, and then runs this, where did it go? So it runs the builder for every single command to see which one is going to match your input, which is really, really non-performant. We're getting up to like a 4 or 5 second startup time just to figure out what command to run. And that frankly sucks. I've looked into trying to send a PR to yargs, but the architecture of it needs a full rewrite in order to not really do that anymore. And the way that it parses things, and the way that it figures out help, and the way that it figures out basically everything is really not great, and frankly makes me upset. The other part of it that I really don't like, and that it doesn't seem like they're going to budge on based on the PRs and comments that I've seen internally, is they take a really, really long time to deprecate things, and they stay around for a very, very long time. Like, check this out. There's Epilogue, EPILOG, and Epilogue with a UE at the end that do the exact same thing. They have many different ways of formatting arguments for functions in your builders. There was another one. I think it's describe. I don't know exactly where it is. It's in here. So you can provide describe, DESC for a shortcut for that, description, and I think maybe one other, and they all do the exact same thing. The problem is it's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. And then third of all, handlers are not officially supporting async. So you can make this an async function, but you need to figure out how to exit cleanly after all of your work is done, which it doesn't do. So with all these things internally, so I think there were probably some other ones. Middleware is a really awesome, interesting concept, but it doesn't totally work right. And it's really, you can kind of do async, you can kind of not. It's unclear if you basically like can modify the arguments that you're passing through, that the user passed through, which seems kind of bad. Yargs, it's confusing. Basically what I'm saying is everything is confusing about yargs, and it's born out of, you know, kind of building this fast and loose, and what they've done is really awesome, and I think it's really paved the way for doing a lot of good stuff. However, the architecture of it is just, it's going to be too much work to kind of make it be something that really can live on for a really long time, without a really, really slow process. So I also want to share my mug. Do not care. Anyway, so those are kind of the problems that I want to solve. I want to make the startup really fast. I want to make it make a little bit more sense in how you define commands. And I also want to provide some more utilities internally that just aren't here in yargs, like standard logging, asynchronous handling of multiple parallel tasks at the same time. So like running workers and logging with them, logging really important. And then probably, I don't know, more things around that area. Also help docs. So one of the things that really made me annoyed was you cannot export help docs to anything but like their standard format, which I don't know if they have a good example of it on here. Oh, here it is. So this is plain text help docs that get put out into the terminal. I don't like them. They're bad. They're fine. They're great in the terminal. They're bad in the sense that you can't output Markdown. You can't output like the JSON resolution of all of this stuff. You can't output RST. You can't output anything but this. And so trying to generate documentation for users that can be put up on a website I did it. I'm not going to share that solution with you because I don't think anybody else should do it. I essentially used a proxy to override yargs in a separate command that would build up a JSON tree and be able to output the JSON or dump it into a Markdown document, which it worked. It's not a solution that I would share. It requires a lot of like extra helpers that we had internally. So it's not great. So anyway, I'm just gonna throw yargs out there. Actually, I'll keep it up just to see. Hey, look at that, we're live. Okay, just to reference here and there. But I've already got to start on stuff, and I kind of want to show where I'm at. So let me switch to Mini-Me over in the corner there. Maybe increase this font size a little bit more, because this code is important. So I've got my terminal on the left-hand side here and my code on the right. I'm actually just gonna do this, make that a little bit bigger, so we can look at it. So what I've got is I've got an example that's running straight from the source code, and we can see what's happening. So this is the input file. I'd like a better way to do this with the Babel register. Probably eventually support that straight out of the box. There are a few things that I'm using that aren't going to be available for everybody in Node.js, but they may soon. So async await, not totally supported, especially top level. Some of the ES module stuff, I'm actually just using actual ES modules on stuff. So that's pretty important for kind of writing and reading, and much more the standard of the way that people want to do it. You don't want to go back and forth between CommonJS and ES modules. It's super annoying. So we're going to start, and this is just a couple options showing like how things are done. So, and I'm writing this with TypeScript. So, or not TypeScript, sorry, Flow. I personally prefer Flow. I think it's a little bit more strict. It tends to run a bit faster in larger projects. So I'm going with it. Anybody that hates Flow, well, build your own. So I'd like a better way to resolve this. I may turn this into like a Yarn workspace monorepo. I just haven't done that yet. But I've just got a few things here. I think that the key here is like this one's got an alias on it. So actually, why don't I explain it? So this is a basic structure of a command. We've got potential aliases. You don't have to define this. A description. I think this is required. May not be. Examples not required, but you can provide them. Positionals. So this would be if your command, so like my CLI, if I'm running this, so alias foo here, I could call foo and then strip out positional arguments on here. So maybe I want to include like a file path as something that I want to include as a positional and not have it to be a flagged argument like examples like that. So that's positionals, and then options is like my CLI foo or bar, etc. Middleware then comes in as a separate thing. So the difference here is where in yargs we wouldn't have positional, we wouldn't actually have any of these examples, positionals, options, middleware. We'd actually end up with just export builder, and that's a function that takes a yargs object, and then you say yargs dot positional. Oops, can't type positional. And I think you like give it a name, one, and then some options, and then you can have options or option. See, that's the thing. There are multiple ways to do it. You can do options or option. You can do positional or positionals and define them differently. So like options, you'll give it the same type of object. So it could be like this that you would drop in here. Otherwise, you can do option foo, and then you can say type string, etc. And then furthermore, you can do .middleware. So you end up with this old jQuery chaining style pattern, and it's fine. It's just tougher to read, I think, and gives too many options and gets confusing. So we just do away with that, and we define them individually. You can just completely leave them out too, and that'll be fine. So I'm actually going to remove them from this command here. And then you can see this. So this is hello from foo handler. Let me change this one to sub command handler. So really, I'm just like logging stuff out here, and that's fine and dandy. But what I've done is I've kind of changed, or I've changed the resolution algorithm for how we find the commands. So I'll kind of show you how that works. So I can actually run these commands that I've got in my file system right here by running node example. Run. I can just run it with help, and it'll output. For now, it'll output JSON of everything that we've got here. So you can actually see like here's our alias foo. Or alternatively, because it's in the folder, I don't know if you can see this, it's in the folder commands sub, and it's the index file here. So that ends up being just sub. And then everything else in the commands folder, we've got like positionals. So I can actually run positionals, nulls, page. And that one. Because all we're doing right now is when you add help, it says the just gives the optionals. So in this case, I'm logging the argv that was put in here. So you can see first positional. This is required first positional. Looks like that was actually wrong, but I can do bar baz like this, and I broke something. So I got to fix that. But you kind of get the idea. Here's options, option types. So it's kind of showing option types. Ignore that. With the help, it can show like all the options on there. But you can see it's super fast. So let me run that again with time on there. So that was 1 second to do the whole thing. And if I run time node examples JS, just everything with help, still again less than a second for everything. I tested this a little bit earlier. I added like 30 or 40 more files, and it was still less than a second for generating everything. So the algorithm for this is kind of interesting. What we do is you can do some setup. So you kind of bootstrap your command app here. Right now I'm just calling it command app. I don't have a good name for it. If anybody has any ideas for naming, that'd be cool. But you basically give it a root directory. I think the default is the directory where you execute bootstrap from, and then you tell it where the commands are located relative to that root directory. So in this case, I've got them in the commands folder. So everything in there will be resolved as a top level command that you can run, and then sub commands there on down. So from there, we end up in the bootstrap. We've got a config. So you can also add some ignores. In this case, like we ignore anything that is __ any like directory or file for that matter that is 2 underscores, any letters, and then or any word characters, and then followed by 2 underscores. So in that case, it's like anything that's like tests or mocks or fixtures. I think those are really common ones. So we automatically ignore those, and then also ignore anything that's like .test. You know, we could also do like spec in there. I think some people still use spec as their test names, so I'll just add that in. Right now I'm kind of going fast and loose with my commits, still trying to prove out that everything works here. So it's pretty simple. Let's see, where are we? And then, so going through then, you have some global options. So you can change the verbosity globally. I also want to build in verbosity to a logging, like I was talking about, to kind of make things just easier to figure out, like debugging and all that kind of stuff. So global options, input arguments. What was input args? I don't remember what this is. Oh, this is for testing actually. So by default, we grab the argv and run that. We remove the first 2 items from that because those will always be like node and the example. So that's like node examples / run.js. We just cut those off. We don't need them. I think it will always be that. We can check for that later. And I haven't written any tests yet, so that'll come once I feel more confident with the way that this is shaping up. But as we get into it, so we've got our input command. And I'm actually using yargs parser. So that part of it, parser. That part of it, I think, is actually pretty great. They've cut it out in a separate repository. It's a separate module altogether. It does the parsing for us. I think it does a great job. I have not found any problems with it. There's nothing about it that I don't like, other than I wish it was something more than just underscore here, or like it returned separate objects or called this positionals. But it's fine. Oh, interesting. As of version 19, yargs parser supports Deno. That's something I'd also like to support at some point. It supports ESM, which is good. I don't know why I wouldn't. Okay, cool. Excuse me. So I'm using yargs parser. Essentially what this does is it takes some input and, oh, they do the same thing, argv slice too, and produces this object of what you've put in here. And it does a lot of the casting for you. So like if you put in a number, it'll come out as a number. If you put in a string, it'll come out as a string. It tries to figure it out for you, which is really nice. So we kind of, we set a few things in here automatically for you, like help. And I've gotten a little ambitious and put in help format. So you, this is my plan to support plugins and an internal ability to do specific formatting for docs or your help docs. What's our yargs config? What is this? What are you? Oh, and I've removed camel case expansion and dot notation and stripping, and I'm stripping aliases. So these are the defaults that I found that are really nice. So camel case expansion is really weird. So yargs does this thing where it churns. So if you have like option is dash foo dash bar, it'll in your resulting object, you'll actually end up with a string foo dash bar and also foo bar as the same value. So if I say foo bar equals 2, you'll end up with this in your result. And that is weird because then if you're searching for this, but you're using the camel case expansion version of that, it's extra confusing. Dot notation as well. So like supporting foo dot bar like this, you actually end up with foo bar 2. And again, that gets really difficult to deal with because I think you also end up with foo dot bar. So the question is, which one are you using? How does that work? It's annoying. Too many options. Just do one. Be a little bit more opinionated about things. Reduces confusion, makes it easier. Okay, so I've got this whole thing here to figure out all the command files. And let's see. Why do I replace index here? Okay, so what we've done is we use a glob. If you're not familiar with globs, well, let's look at it. Here's a good one, globster.xyz. That's a cool one. Bigger, please. So globs allow you to say like my app /start, and then it will show you what it can actually map. Let's take that off. Oh, my app. Oh, it's not working. Okay, well, there we go. So it's kind of highlighting them in blue a little bit. So it's showing you what it matches. Oh, shoot. Come back. So essentially, glob allows you to match file names based on a pattern that's kind of like regular expressions, but it's super, super fast and really powerful. And I think it exists in a lot of different languages. So on Node, it's just glob. Hey Milo, what's up, buddy? You want to come up on camera? No? You're just going to meow at me? Okay. So we use the subcommand directory that was given, if it exists. If it didn't come in, then we just use the root directory. We assume the root directory there. Actually, I don't know that I want to do that. I think I'm going to change that a little bit to do subcommander. If I actually just change this to be commands. Yeah, I don't think I need to do that actually. Let's keep it this way. So if you don't provide one, it's going to be the root directory. I definitely recommend providing one. This is one of those cases where it's not a big deal to support. It should be totally fine. So what are we doing? Going through this. So we find all the commands and then filter anything that was ignored out of that. We ignore the directories as well. And then we kind of change them. We've actually figured out the command name. So that's what we're looking at over here on the left with like the command name. You can see the path is command sub command. And we pull off, we get relative to the resolved subcommand directory. So in that case, we're working with sub/command.js, and then we convert that into a string sub space command. Let's see. And then for index files as well, we replace at the end there, we replace anything with just the parent directory name, or nothing actually. We replace it with nothing. So then we just end up with sub. So when I have that sub/index file, that's allowing me to just run it. So I've got node examples of run.js sub. Broken. Sorry. We need to fix that. So that gives me the options there. Get everything back again. So we resolve all that into these objects then. So these are the things that are defined in those. I think I'm actually going to default all of these items. It'll just kind of make it easier. So I'm going to make handler required. Alias is undefined if it doesn't exist, and then command and path get dropped in. So these items can get overwritten here. And I think maybe I'm going to So yargs has this way of if you have like, you do description, I think it's actually, you have to use describe for this use case, but description doesn't work. If you do describe equals false, it actually hides it from the help unless you add some flag to it. I think it's like show hidden, which I don't know if I want to support that or not. I do like the idea of advanced usage and hiding those. I was actually thinking about a flag on options, like saying advanced true, and then that would be the flag for whether or not this should be hidden, unless you say like show advanced instead of show hidden. I'm not sure how to do that with the description if you want to hide commands altogether. I think that's something we can figure out later though. Let me go back and say that. So we build up these objects here. And so for right now, if you don't have a resolved command, then I'm going to show the help doc. So if I do this with no help, it returns that same thing. That's what I ran. If you include help, then we show those options again for now. This is all again for now until we figure out how to actually output the help. And then let's see, from there then we're going to do is, this is what we need to fix, but I should actually show how we resolve that command, because this part I actually thought was a little bit clever, but not super complex. So it's this little function where we take the commands that you've given. I should actually run. Oops. Make sure I am. Oh, I broke things. We're gonna have to fix that. Those 3 errors there. Sub-index. Let's see. We'll come back to that. We give it the commands that we found. So that again was this object that we built up here. Was an array of these objects. And this should actually be optional. Actually, I'm going to do or void. A little bit more clarity. And then the input. So that's the parsed input of positional. So I'm actually going to change that to positional input. And let's change these positional input. Okay, so what this does is it loops the full positional input that you've put in, and it removes positionals until we find an exact match for either the command that was defined or that was built. So let's put that out again here. Oh. Why did I break something? What did I break? Input. Oh, input. Where's input? Oh, I didn't save. That's why. So until we find an exact match for, so we're removing the input that you put in there. So in this case, I had that an option for positionals, and I told you I could put in foo, bar, baz. I could keep putting stuff in here. So when I do that, oh, it actually didn't match. So that's a good test there that we need to fix. What it should be doing is it should be removing these positionals one by one until we get an exact match on like either this command or an alias as provided. So let's figure out what's going on here. So let's say I'm just going to do a handy dandy console logging, and then let's see, sub command. So we see it should have matched positionals. Maybe it, oh, you know what? It did, because positionals actually doesn't have anything in it in the options here. So let me just. Let me see what happens. Okay, we do have to fix something yet. So we know that's working at least. So it just keeps going down the line until it finds a match. So it found positionals here. Let's see now. What's this other argument? Cannot read property greedy of undefined. So that's line 80. Okay, so what at this point then? So we've got our command, and now we. Oh, okay. So what I've actually done then is I've included I'm reparsing the input then with the options that the command itself has. So unlike yargs, which would have run the builder up in this section, we only, and for every single command that you've defined, we've moved it now to down here. So we take a tiny performance hit, but not anywhere nearly as bad as yargs by moving it down here as the second option. So we run it n+1, or I guess just 2, whereas yargs is probably going to run it n+1 times. So n being the number of commands that you have plus one more time to pre-parse it. So now we've got our parse positionals and the rest of the arguments. So what I'm building up here then, so what I wanted to do was when you actually build stuff up, I want to pass the final arguments into there. And the positional arguments, I don't want it to just be what yargs gives us, which is like, here's an array of all of your stuff. What I actually want to have happen is when you have defined positionals, like here I have first positional, I want to make this be an object instead. First positional. And have that be the value. And then I also want to include an option for making things greedy. So in this case, if the last object is greedy, it can pull in all of the rest of them. So then rest here is going to include those extra items. So in that case, that if you include greedy, it becomes an array. If you don't include greedy, it will only grab one. So the problem is this isn't working right. So let's see. Let's see, positionals, how have I written this? So we grab the parse positionals and we reduce the memo to an object here. And so if positionals, we grab the key, positional keys, what is reflect on keys positionals. Can already property greedy of undefined. What are the positional keys? Oh, you know what? Does that parse position? Let's see, value. So this should, now it just suddenly, because I added this object here. First positional rest. Okay, so the greedy is not working correctly. So, let's see. Oh, you know what? I have to grab. So I think what I actually want to do is first grab these out and bucket them by greedy, because it may actually be nice to say, let greedy be possibly a number. So you could say 2 here and then something else. Does that seem useful? In what cases might that be useful? Probably none, actually. Yeah, I don't see a case where that is actually going to be useful. Anyone else see a case where that's useful? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just going to do a random Google search here. I don't think. No, I really just don't see a case where that's going to be all that useful. We can probably change it again later if that becomes the case. So the problem here is that because we're looping through the positionals themselves, but I actually want to loop through the I think I want to loop through this positionals object. I want to do this. So let's do with object keys. Actually, we can use, we'll do keys, key, And then instead of all this, get rid of that. So now what we're going to end up with is we're going to say memo positional key. Oh, you know what? I want to use positional keys here. Can just do that. Simplify this a little bit. So each one of the own keys, we're going to add that here. And say parsed positionals. So first off, let's do that. If pull that back up. Positional keys length. Okay, throw a nice error there at least. So let's do this. If it's greedy, otherwise we're going to say is equal to, is it slice? You know what? I can never remember. Is it slice or splice? I think I want splice. Shall copy of person array into new arrays from start to end. Okay, I do want slice. Slice from I to end. Yep, okay. Otherwise, what are the options that we can give a positional required? True. Okay, so we'll do some validation actually happens down here. Else, and then return memo. So I think that'll work now. There we go. So we've got rest foo bar best and first positional positionals. And if I don't include any of those, oh, you know what? I actually have to pull off the positionals for the command. So parse positionals needs let's do input positionals. So I should have actually result command should have command here, and it should also have alias. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna need to know if this matched the alias. So I'm gonna say return match. Shoot, that's gonna have to be. We'll come back to that. Input positionals, parse positionals. Slice from let's see, command dot length, and then instead of parse positionals, where are you? There we go. Okay, the problem is if I add an alias here, pause, oh, actually, if I make this alias pause, it should null. So if I do this something weird, so in this case, alias is going to need to account for that, and it's going to have to work both ways. So maybe I should do that here. Oh boy, that's fine. So it has to account both ways. So I need to know if I used the alias or not in the command. So in that case, command match. Just return that. We'll do change this to alias match. Let's see. So actually, let's see. Alias commanded middleware. Let's see. Matched alias. I should probably sort those. Matched alias false. And let's see. Wow, that's complex. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that will solve that for us. What? I do actually need to figure this out. So let's do the same thing here. Positionals into this one that's nested but has an alias, and make sure that works. So node examples run.js and alias is foo. Okay, so that seems to have worked correctly. Let's actually switch that out and drop that into the command here, and also give So node examples sub command as. Okay. That didn't work the way I expected it to. Oh, wait, no, it did. So this one has foo. Let's call this let's do this. So it makes a little more sense. Okay, some value. Okay, so that matched correctly. So what if I did node examples run.js sub co as sweet. Okay, so that is all working the way I expect it to. Let's see. Cool. Alias subco subcommand. Okay, that is all working great. I'm gonna undo these changes because I don't need them. And cool. So that's working. I don't love that I dropped that match alias on there, but this kind of makes me have to process a little bit longer. But that's okay. Let's fix those flow errors. Oh, now we're up to 6. Whoopsies. Let's start at the top. Cannot resolve name arg to have positionals. Oh, looks like you always have to have positionals. So, or we could do this. That should reduce us down to 1. Okay. Or by 1. Line 68 says description not guaranteed. Resolve command. This should, okay, let's do this. So so we needed some way to kind of guarantee. Oh, why are these the only ones that are prop is missing from command match? Oh, here we go. This needs to be more stuff. Let's see. This. Add a little bit of force checking there, and then commands is going to be array of okay. Let's grab these. And that this will always be options. Where do so I think I'm going to require these always be async and return void. And what are we missing? Options, description, alias. Okay, oh, now we're up to 6 again. Oops, command. Oh, command. It's missing here. Down to 4. Okay. Match alias. Alias might be undefined. Let's see. Alias. So we're doing a lot of like really strict typing in here. Args should be that. Oh, handler needs to be I don't know if that's gonna work. Oh, it did. Okay, so oh, command. That wasn't the way to do that. Cool. Okay. Fix that. Okay. I'm gonna commit that. Oops. And eventually my plan is then to use this in itself. So all of the like internal tasks that are run on command git hooks and all that kind of stuff will actually run through itself, kind of using its own code and everything. Where'd it go? And then what else do we have to do? Middleware should actually go up. Let's move that. Where do I export? Oh, export type argv right there. Those are the types that we export then. So that part of it's pretty much working. The part that's not working is, help docs and all of the other stuff that I was promising earlier on with. Does that need to be exported? I don't think that needs to export. Yeah, that does not need to export. Okay. Let's see. Actually move that up to the top. Okay. Still a little bit messy, but doable for now. What's command error? Well, that's completely unused. Let's delete that. find a use for it some other time if it actually comes up. Hey Milo, what's up, buddy? You coming up? It's Milo, everybody. Milo, let's take a break and talk to everybody. Milo, be on the camera. You're so photogenic with your tiny white toes. Or are you just gonna hide on my lap here? We'll just have that there. So what else is there to do here today? Go back to this view. So I guess I could maybe trying to think what to do other than push this up and maybe start actually writing some tests. Maybe that'd be a good idea, because I have not written any tests yet in this entire thing. Do I even have Jest installed? Nope. Oh boy. Who wants to write some tests? Milo, do you want to write some tests? He's still on my lap. You can't see him. I don't know. There he is. Hey buddy, you want to write some tests? Do you want to write a test? Milo says no, tests are dumb. Yes, I agree, Milo, except that how do we actually know that anything works other than continuing to do this crazy manually running it all the time, which is not a sustainable way to do things. Huh, buddy? Oh boy. Okay. Let's see. What else am I doing here? You know, actually, let me update Flow and for now, because I know that that's gotten a few good releases since. Let's see if we broke anything. Oh boy. I suppose I should just bite it and write some tests. Uh-oh, I broke something. Uh-oh. 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 Oh, no. I hope I didn't break anything here. When it does that like infinite loop of trying to start up, something went bad. Okay. Let's not do flow now. Let's just go back to writing tests. Oh boy. And maybe in writing tests, we'll actually be able to clean some of this stuff up. So, add dev jest. Is that all we need to do to add Jest these days? Just yes. Oh. I don't even know if that's the only thing needed or not. Yes, just add Jest. Let's run Jest init to create our configuration file. Oh, I do need Babel Jest. Oopsies. Let's try Jest init. Yarn Jest init. Would you like to use Jest when running test? Yes. We are running Node. Yes. We are running. Which provider should instrument code for coverage? Huh? Sure, Babel. Automatically clear mock. Yes. Okay, let's look at our Jest config. Whoa, too many options. Oh my gosh. Let's just delete everything in here. Oh boy. And that isn't already set. Coverage clear mocks. True. Auto mock false. Okay. Should fail because I don't have any tests. Cool. And now let's do. So I'm going to do something different than putting tests in a test directory. I'm going to start putting them in right next to the file. Flow. Import. We're going to do bootstrap. And you know, I'm going to have to overload glob too. So is that the default? That's the default export. Let's see. Bootstrap. We're just gonna throw something in here. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to tell. Do I have ESLint configured at all? Oh, I know what I need. Flow typed install Jest. We need types for Jest. Cool. Do I need to configure that or anything? I don't think I do. Yeah, that's better now. Okay, running that test. Failed. That's good. Okay, cool. Now we got a coverage, open coverage. Okay. Haha, everything's bad. This says I did bad. Okay. You can see that here too. All right, we got a test. Gonna need to mock that for sure. For each. Can't type, can't type, can't type. Okay. Now. Can I run this 2 up? Is that going to be too hard to look at? Maybe not. All right, so Bootstrap. I'm also going to need to overload the require here. And sometimes people might do something crazy with like proxies and or like module.require. I don't know exactly what it is. It's not great. I'm gonna use dependency injection instead. So to do that, this is the same idea here. So like this is for testing purposes. We'll also do require. Actually, this is required. This is also required. Or it will always be set. Require will be, let's do this. Command require is equal to require. And then instead of using require here, we'll do command require. Let's make sure I didn't break everything. Oh gosh. What? Oh, I need flow to ignore the coverage. Ignore. What's the flow? It's flow.org. Yeah, okay. Started. Nope. Docs. Config. Oh, it's project root. Okay, just like that. Oh, you know what? All of my files are flow by default. I don't need to include the pragma up there. Let's see. Okay, let's test that. Okay, cool. So that is working correctly. Okay, so now I've got command require in here. So what I'm going to do is say bootstrap. We don't need to pass config. We don't need to pass global options. And we're going to have our own require some here. So mock require. We'll call it require. Actually, let's do that. Require mock. And I'm going to add that up here. Require mock as here. Let's see what happens. Let's make this, let's do a test that fails. So, expect that to grow. And we can do that by saying require mock return value once. We're only going to do it once and say, we're just going to have it not return anything in the file. And so glob mock return value once, and we're going to have that return bar.js. And then we're going to say expect, so I'm going to expect glob mock to have been called with. You know, you can just wait on that. I'm going to start running tests. Copy. Okay, that failed. Did not throw. That's not good. Why did it not throw? Did we even get there? Oof. Error missing. Okay, it did do this. Why are we getting an unhandled promise rejection? Oh, you know what? Because this does. Ooh, this is. Yeah, I forgot this was an async function. Expect async expect rejects to equal. Start with that. Oh, there we go. To equal new error missing description for. You know, this should actually be just that missing description for. Why is the command something different? Console log is here. Command is equal path. Oh, what? Why did it pass? It should not have passed. Maybe because that's part of the map. This should have been handled. Oh, you know what? Oh, wait. Okay, that should be failing though. The question is, why? Oh, oop. Getting a start on streaming. Testing. Wait, why is it still saying syntax error? What? Oh. Oops. Testing is hard. Missing it. Let's say to match. How do I reject with an error? Let's see. Is that how that works? Their docs seem a little weird. I don't think that is the way that should work. Okay, yeah, that is not the way that should work. Let's do this. So it's throwing an error. It's rejecting with that error. That should. Oh, that should. Why did I think that was gonna fail before? So this should fail. There we go. Okay. It's all working. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's bucket these into malformed commands. And let's do another one for this next handler. The rest of the command does not have a handler. Okay, we've got some tests. That is a start. Now, let's see. You know, I don't know what else to do here. I could keep going, but I think this is a pretty good intro, actually. I'm getting a little tired. I'm actually going to go knit a hat or something. Maybe someday I'll stream knitting. You can see how bad I am at it. But this is fun. It's nice to see that this is actually a little bit more simple than I thought it was going to be. This repo is still private at the moment, but I do want to make it, or maybe it's not private. I don't even know if it is. Let's find out. Oh, it is private for the moment. I'll make it public at some point soon. Oh, you know what? I need to remove coverage here. Git ignore. Okay, cool. I'll make this public soon-ish. So I do want to start using it on a bunch of projects. I keep finding myself wanting to do some of these things. So like, here's a good example. Build tracker. What is going on with something's wrong with GitHub right now. It seems like it's missing a lot of stuff over there. I keep finding myself wanting to use it with build tracker. There are a bunch of things. So like we've got all these setups and different options. They're hard to know like exactly what does what, which one needs to be run when, and there's you can get Yarn to give you a list of all the commands that you can run. The problem is there's no documentation. There's no option information, nothing included with it. So kind of annoying. Also, build tracker includes its own command line interface, and I would love to use this for build tracker as well, for when it's published and somebody's using it on their own end. Be great to have a little bit more safety and stuff in there. So we'll get in there at some point soon. Till then, I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna keep working on it slowly. I'm gonna keep finding different things to do on it. Oh, you know what? Did my code coverage update? Let's see. Oh, I didn't update the code coverage. Yeah, tests. Okay. Did it really not? Huh. Do I have to do that? There we go. Okay, now you can see I've actually done this. I have not done the else path after this. So you can see I haven't actually, no tests have run past that. So we haven't really done anything. We'll also want to write a test for this. Maybe I should do that real quick. Nah, screw it. We'll do it later. Cool. So I'm going to be done for the night. Yeah. See y'all next time. Have a good... What day is it? Saturday night. Okay.